If you are a business leader and you want to understand how to roll out AI across your organization safely and effectively, then this episode is for you. Welcome to My Way or the AI Way. I'm Scott Davison. I'm on a mission to master AI and understand how it can be used in life and business. Today, I'm having a chat with Inbal Rodnay, who is a AI implementation expert, spokesperson, and author. She's just published a book called AI Magic, which outlines a 6-step process for implementing AI across your organization. I thought this is a great topic. It's something many businesses and many business leaders are navigating at the moment. So I wanted to get Inbal on the show to talk us through that process. In this interview, she takes us through each of the 6 steps and gives some practical examples of how that could apply to your business. So I hope you enjoy this interview. I learned a lot from talking to Inbal. I hope you do too. Let's get into it. Inbal, welcome to My Way or the AI Way. How are you?
I am very well, Scott. Great to be here.
So I thought we'd start maybe just with a bit about your background and how you sort of got into this AI space. So start wherever you like and let us know.
Yeah, I might tell you a bit of a story, Scott, if you want, about where I felt like we're feeling today. About in the 90s, 1993, I was 18 years old. I was in this exclusive, amazing coding training. Now it's 1993. I didn't have a computer at home and we didn't do coding at school. It was all very, very new. And I was sort of listening, taking notes, doing all the exercises, all the activities, learning all the algorithms and languages and everything they taught us. But in the class, there were these guys that knew everything and were debating why we're even doing these programming languages and not the newer stuff, and why we're not doing the new algorithms that are happening over the United States. And I didn't have an opinion about what they said. I didn't even understand what they were talking about. And I lived for the whole training, which was 6 months, with this horrible feeling that I am so behind, that I am just not on top. And there's all these things that I just don't have access to. It was really hard. And I actually asked the head teacher to quit. I wanted to quit in month five, but they ended up convincing me to stay, and I finished the training successfully. It turns out I finished in the top 2 in class. And if I could talk to that fearful, shaking, trembling 18-year-old now, I would be able to explain to her that those guys, they were the explorers and the innovators that run ahead when there's a new technology and try to figure it out and run through all the different paths that they can find to discover what's going to work. But then there's us, the majority, the early majority and the late majority, that go in the big, wide main path that becomes robust, that is clear, that is right, that has longevity. And we just walk it steadily. And I feel so the same with everything that's going on with AI today. You know, if I make the mistake of scrolling through LinkedIn in the morning, I go, oh my God, people have automated the whole world with AI. I'm the only one who hasn't. And that is not true. And that's the feeling I want to leave you with today. that that we need to focus on the things that are mainstream, that are becoming mainstream, that everyone else is doing, and love the innovators, love the explorers, see what they're doing, watch what they're doing, but do not feel like you're behind if you're not doing what they're doing.
No, it's a really good point, Emma. I know a lot of business owners are feeling that pressure, like, oh, maybe I'm too late, I'm not moving fast enough. But you're absolutely right. Anyone who's listening to this or watching this sort of content is already ahead of the curve, and
That's it.
things are moving so fast at the frontier anyway that it's actually more efficient to be a few steps behind, because you let the explorers play around with 6 tools, and then by the time you get there, things have settled down and you can just apply the one that helps your business by focusing on your business and how can I use AI for my business rather than which
Absolutely.
tools can I go and chase.
Exactly. And if you imagine a bit of a radar that you will be looking at, I imagine a radar with sort of 3 rings. There is the middle, the center area, which are the tools that everyone should be using today. That if you're not using, you may be getting a bit behind. Get on it. And we can talk about that, what they are. They are the things that everyone should be using today. Then you have the second ring, which is the things to be aware of. They are the tools that are becoming more mature, the categories that are looking like they're shaping up to be categories that are here to stay. And so we need to be aware of those. And then there's the outer ring, where the vast majority of new apps are. And there's all the tools that are coming up every day, and some of them will survive, but many of them will not, and some of them will merge, and they're still figuring out their ways. Those are noise for us, the majority. They're delight, they're breakfast for the innovators and the explorers. Great. But for us, majority, they are noise. We don't need to pay attention to that. It's a distraction.
Yep. No, that's great context, Inbal. And I mentioned a bit in the intro about yourself, and of course, you've now got your new book out. So I wanted to talk about that. Congratulations, first of all. You got there it is, AI Magic. So 6 steps to AI mastery in your firm. So what's the elevator pitch for the book, and who's it aimed at?
The book is really takes you through the 6 steps to AI mastery. So what I take my clients through, or people in my community through, the steps to get you from creating clarity with leadership, so everyone's on the same page, and removing the resistances, not through power, but through good, intentional, thoughtful answers to the questions that people have, through to selecting your tools, developing a robust and useful AI policy, training your staff, creating momentum, and putting it all into workflow. It takes you through all these steps. These are the steps I actually take my clients and people in my community through.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's exactly why I thought it'd be great to get you on the show. I know a lot of the people who listen or watch this are business owners or executives within business, and they're wondering how to get started. What are the steps? So to have a framework like yours. So maybe if we just go through it at a high level,
Yep.
step by step, I think that would be really helpful. So if someone's not started yet, what's the first step you're
Step
recommending in
one
this?
is what I call leadership alignment. And if we find
Yep.
it here in the book, there's a little diagram of a snake sort of taking us through the steps. And step one is your leadership alignment. If we have people in the business who are not on board and are in leadership positions, so if I look at a firm like an accounting firm, a law firm, or any sort of practice that has partners, or if I look at any business, their CEO, all their C-suites, all the leaders, if they're not all on board, it's not going to happen. It's going to cause confusion, frustration, and complication. And the only way I know how to solve this is to get everyone in a room, get this leadership in a room, lock the door, and no one's leaving now until we figure this out. And
Mhm.
how we figure it out is with empathy. So we listen to the questions. The questions are there because people care about the business and they are worried about data confidentiality. How do we keep our data safe if we upload it to all these AI things that maybe are training on it and learning it, and someone else will then ask a question and get information that I shared that's a scary thing. And obviously there are ways to prevent that, and that's what we need to understand. They are concerned about quality of work. How do we maintain the quality of work if staff use AI? How will staff even learn their job? How will juniors and grads learn the job if AI does the work for them? So all these resistances are questions that are there because people care about the business. And so we need to answer them with thoughtfully, and people are on board. I have never seen a scenario where people had those answers and still were not on board. So that's
Okay.
step one, and it's a must. Every project must start there.
Yep. And are you encouraging the leaders in that scenario to actually start using AI themselves as a way to get familiar with it, or is it more?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but there's still a gap when people used it and when they're, and between that and them being comfortable that all their staff will use it,
Yeah.
and that they'll use it with client information, and they'll use it with intimate information about their business. So there's a gap between using AI to help me plan my dinner and my garden and my PT, personal training plan, and using it for work. And what we want to use it for work.
Yep. Okay. No, that's a common approach I've heard. Is you need to get the buy-in at the top, because that then they can lead by example. It doesn't mean they need to know everyone's exact use case of how they're going to be using it within the business, but at least if they're familiar, if the leadership team are familiar with AI, they're starting to use it themselves, they can see the benefits of it. They can then lead by example, I guess.
And they need the confidence. They need the confidence that they're safe, that the business is safe, that the data is safe, that the client interaction is safe. They need that confidence.
Great. Okay, so we've got leaders on board. They're familiar with it and feeling confident. What's step 2 in the process?
Step 2 is the big one. Step 2 is selecting your tools. That's where a lot of people get a bit lost and where we need to put a lot of focus. And there are so many AI tools out there. I believe that right now, what are we, August 2025? I believe that right now, everyone in every business, in every professional service, in every business needs to have access to at least one paid, secure, general purpose AI tool. And the choices are not many. You can use, you have your ChatGPT from OpenAI, or the one that comes in your Office platform. So if you're on a Microsoft platform, it's your Google, it's your Microsoft Copilot, and if you're on the Google platform, it's your Google Gemini. So if you're not sure, these are your options: ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini. That's it. Choose
Okay.
one of those. And if you're absolutely not sure and you're really, really concerned, go with the one in your go with the one in your Office suite. So your Copilot if you're Microsoft, your Gemini if you're Google. These tools will give you 80 or 90% of what you can get from AI today, you'll get from these tools. And they're
Okay.
built into your environment. They have access to your email, to your calendar, to your files. They can answer, they become a really useful assistant, and security is quite easy if you're going with that option. So
Okay.
that's a must.
Yep.
Everything else is a bonus.
And all 3 of those are equally secure, would you say, if they're set up correctly?
If set up correctly, all 3 of them are equally secure, with a caveat.
Yeah.
ChatGPT typically and consistently gives us a lot more functionality and capabilities sooner than the others. However, and it does have enterprise grade security if you're on the right plan. So when I talk about ChatGPT, I mean ChatGPT, the team edition. You can use ChatGPT for free. You can use ChatGPT on the Plus version, which is like the personal paid plan at $20 a month. You can use it on the team edition, which is $30 a month. But with the team edition, you've got a lot more control and a lot more security, and things can't be shared outside, and you have more control over what people can connect, what data they can connect into ChatGPT and share with ChatGPT. So when I say ChatGPT for work, we want the team edition. When I talk about Copilot, I mean Copilot for Microsoft 365, which is an extra payment on top of an extra subscription on top of your normal Microsoft subscription. Same with Google Gemini. Gemini is on top of your standard Google Workspace
Okay.
subscription. The caveat on security, yes, they are all enterprise grade. ChatGPT makes it, while it gives us more functionality and more capabilities, and we're always ahead, it does make it a bit harder to manage in terms of security because it's a third party. So if I give my team Microsoft Copilot and somebody leaves the team and I turn them off in Microsoft, their Microsoft account, they lost their Copilot as well. But if I have a ChatGPT, I need to manage that as a third party, and I need to make sure it also has right now less capabilities or less granularity in managing permissions. It's quite flat. You give everyone the same permissions and that's it. Whereas with Copilot or Gemini, you can go in group level and individual level, and there's a lot more detail.
Yep. Okay. So start with one of the LLMs, make sure it's a paid service so that it's a business version, not a free version. And that gives you the security. And do you sort of say just give everyone a license straight away, or what's the step for getting staff?
Definitely think everyone should get a license.
Yeah.
100%. Everyone in your business should get a license. If you've got offshore people, give them a license too. Everyone. Because that is the bit where you can be left behind. If you're not giving people safe, secure accounts, one, they will use something. Promise you. They'll just do it secretly, and you won't know where your data is going and how people are using it, and there won't be shared learning. So might as well. The other reason is that right now, the most important thing you can do for your business is develop an AI literate workforce. And you do that by letting people develop their skill, giving them the tools and letting them get mileage on the tools.
Yep.
When you roll it out, we need 2 more things, which is the next 2 steps. Step 3 and step 4 are AI policy and training. An AI policy is not there to limit people and cage people and stop their creativity. Not at all. An AI policy, in the case of AI, is there to create a safe playground, because we're getting everyone to play with something new. None of us has much experience with it. We don't know what the vulnerabilities are. We don't know what we need to be careful. We know a bit, but we learn new things every day. And so we all need some guardrails to feel safe to explore and to experiment. So your policy will cover things like what tools we're allowed and not allowed to use, where we're allowed and not allowed to share confidential information, what tasks we're allowed to include the AI with in. Are we allowed to create automations with AI? Are we allowed to deploy AI agents that will talk to our clients? No.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, no.
Mm-hmm.
There's all sorts of questions like that. Are we allowed to use the AI tools work is giving us for personal use? There's all sorts of things there that
Okay.
you need to make sure you cover in order to give people a safe playground that they can safely explore.
Yep. And do you typically start with sort of internal facing uses of AI before you start using it with client facing, or
100%. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Today, we're mid-late 2025. Right now, no process whatsoever, in my view, should be fully automated with generative AI. And I'll give you an example. Um, the case of using AI meeting assistants that come with us to meetings and transcribe our meetings, and then we can take that transcript and get a summary, get action items, get it to write a proposal, get it to write it, whatever. That is quite mainstream now. Early majority is using it. It's fair to say that sort of every meeting I go to, there's a few AI meeting assistants, not just one. We meet
mm-hmm.
them when we go to our doctor, and they get us to sign now a thing that they're allowed to record our meeting for note taking, and then they can focus on that. That's a very mainstream thing. Most of these tools allow you to automatically send the summary to the meeting attendees. I say no, because while they're doing a really good job, they're doing it at sort of 80, 90% good, but not 100% accuracy. If we had a bit of a chit chat and we talked about sending a rocket to the moon as part of a joke or something, it will put it in there that we're going to send in any action items, send the rocket to the moon or something. It's not going to be 100% accurate. And I'm not comfortable with sending my clients things that are not 100% accurate. So for now, I think that it's good enough to do the 80, 90% for me. And then I review it and I go, yeah, not that bit. And you missed that bit. And this one needs to be a bit like that because I already talked to this client about it last week. And so that was an assumption. And I make it right. And then I send it to my clients or put it in my file notes, my client notes, or whatever it is.
Yep.
Right
No,
now, no, I don't think we should have any end-to-end automation with AI, except for where we know that we're experimenting with it and we understand the vulnerabilities. So people deploy these AI agents that will be support agents to talk to clients. They can ask questions. A lot of things can go wrong. We can go into some detail if you want. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. So if you're doing that, you need to know that you're doing something experimental and you need to know what can go wrong and how you're going to manage it.
yep. No, they're really good examples. I like your example with the meeting notes. I think the way I've sort of learnt about this is it's about the mindset. If you're using AI to help you do your job better, I think that's a really good way to use it,
Yep.
like a co-pilot. No,
Yep.
but you're still in charge. You're still the main thought leader, and it's your thought partner. And I think some people have a tendency when they see all these wonderful tools to use them almost to be lazy, like
Mhm.
your meeting example. If you can notice that you're using it to make you lazy, then that's probably a sign that you're not using it in the right way. But if you're using it in the right way, it should feel like you're actually doing your job better,
Absolutely.
not just easier.
Absolutely. And AI is here and the capabilities, we look at it and we go, it can do a lot of the things. It can summarize a meeting, so let's let it do it. It can, but it can't do it to 100% yet. It doesn't have
Right.
all the context that we have. It wasn't there in all the other meetings we had with this person. It sometimes doesn't get what's a joke and what's serious. It
Yeah.
doesn't get what's chit chat and what's part of the meeting. So it's great, but it's not 100%
Yeah.
there. The use cases, the applications, the products around it are not quite there. And for
Yep.
now, we need to supervise everything.
Yep. Okay, great. So policy, so you've chosen your tools, you've got your policy. Training, you mentioned, is step 4, is it? You do
Yeah.
the
So when we
training.
get to team training, there's sort of 2 aspects that we need to train our team on. And you go, why do I need to train them? Like, it's not like there's 1,000 menu items and options they need to know. There's basically a chat box and just type
Ah,
the prompt and that's it. So what's there to learn? So we need to teach people 2 aspects. We need to teach them the skills of how to use these tools well. And then we need to teach them about responsible use so that we're safe. In skill, it depends on what the tool is, but you can see a huge gap between people who use it in very, very basic ways and people who get a lot more out of it. And the gap is huge. And the more we teach people, the more we train people, the more we share with each other, we will know more about, 1, prompting techniques, how to really get it to do what I want it to do, and 2, different features and functions and capabilities that the tool has. So even ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini, it's not just a chat box. They have projects or gems or notebooks. They have agents that you can create. They have all sorts of different capabilities that a lot of people are just not using because they don't know that they're there. So it's prompting and capabilities.
yep.
And that's the skill side of things. And then it's responsible use, which is
Okay.
giving people some fear that it will get things wrong. So I love when I get wrong answers from AI, immediately screenshot and save in the URL because I like to show this to people and go, look, I could have acted on this, but I didn't. So we need to have that bit of fear so that we love AI, but we do not trust AI to do the
Mhm.
thing for us. We always remember that we may end up sending our clients something that's really wrong or silly or unsubstantiated, and we need to check everything.
Yep. Okay. And how are you typically doing the training? Is that sort of group training, one-to-one? What's some of the best ways you've learned to train staff?
I think that with AI, the magic happens, the magic multiplies when we share with each other what we're doing.
Mhm.
And so how I like to do it is in a room, bring everyone together. Sometimes there'll be some people online. That is fine as well. And I like showing them, I like putting the different uses of AI into categories. And you can, we can use AI to write stuff. We can use AI to summarize stuff. We can use AI to brainstorm. We can use AI to make a plan. We can use AI as tech support. We can use AI, so many different things. So I pick a few examples for each one, or a few categories for each one. I come up with some example that will be very relevant to their job. So if I'm training accountants, it will be on something to do with profit and loss, or with some tax research. And if I'm training lawyers, we'll do an example with a consent order. If I'm training optometrists, it will do something to do with the new Medibank coding rules, like something very specific, Medicare, coding rules, something very specific to their work, to their job. I'll show them an example, screen sharing, so people get confidence, and then give them some ideas on things to try themselves. So by the end of the session, they all have some history in their chat. It's not a theoretical thing. And they all share with each other, oh, I tried this and it worked. And that gives you an idea of something you can try. Or I tried this and it didn't work. And that's awesome learning as well. Ideally, we set up a channel, a chat, in Teams or in Slack or in whatever it is that people are using, doesn't matter. So we start sharing with each other because that is really where the magic multiplies. And then you want to weave into that examples and some theory. And theory has to do with responsible use. Are we allowed to share confidential information? If we do, how do we do it? Where do we do it? Do we then delete the conversation? Do we do it in temporary mode or do we not? Do we need to disclose to clients that we use AI to do their job? Um, how do we verify the results that we get from AI? So it's about expanding and opening up ideas on how people can use it, but then also giving them some healthy fear of what can go wrong so people are responsible.
Yep. And what are you seeing within the organisations you work with? I imagine you've got your normal adoption curve even within an organisation. You've got
Yeah.
some who are at the forefront wanting to try stuff, and some who are perhaps a bit later to adopt things. So how do you manage those different personality types and appetites
Yeah.
for new technology?
So typically when I come into businesses and I do a big day of AI where I do an executive briefing, policy work, big group masterclass for everyone. And in that one, that's everyone in the firm. So I want to bring everyone from the back. I want to start from the very basics and bring everyone in because I don't want anyone to be left behind. The front runners, those explorer people in this session, hopefully they'll pick up a trick or two, something new that they will learn, but their job is to be generous and share. And I often do another session at the end of that day, which is the enthusiasts session. And then I get all those front runners and I go, right, let's do some cool stuff. What do you want to have a look at? And I show them cool things they may have not known. Or if they know all the tools, then I'll show them we'll build an agent together, an AI agent together, and they get excited. Or we'll build some workflow automation with AI together and they'll get excited. So I think we need to nurture everyone. But what's most important for me is to bring everyone in. If I could just choose one thing to do, I just bring everyone in. The front runners, they'll be fine.
Yep. Yeah. And as you said, they're doing it anyway. Now you're just bringing them in and getting them to share what they're doing with the others.
And giving them a stage so that they can plant those seeds with everyone else that will sprout more ideas.
Cool. No, it's a good approach. Okay, so what are the final 2-3 steps after training?
So once we've trained, people will get started. They got secured accounts. They know what to do. We overcame most of the blockers that are not sure where to start, not sure what I'm allowed, not sure how it applies to my work, right? We fixed all of those so people can get started. And there'll be a lot of excitement at the end of that day. But then some people will just go back to their work and pick up those 2 or 3 tricks they learned and start using those, but not much more. Some people will just go get busy with work again and the excitement will subside. And what we need to keep the momentum for 2 reasons. One is that we need people to learn more and more how to use this. The other is that the tools and the capabilities are changing all the time. So in a week or 2 or 3, there's new stuff that they don't know about. So what we need to do with momentum is to keep the momentum is most businesses that I know set up either a AI committee or AI task force or an AI, whatever we call them, enthusiast group or whatever it is, whose job it is to bring the news from outside, make sure everyone is across, and keep that buzz going, keep everyone on top, keep everyone up to date. There's new capabilities. Every time there's a new capability, it means more opportunity for our team to use it, but it also means that maybe we need to revisit our AI policy. Maybe there's new automations come in. We need to update our policy to decide what's allowed and not allowed. Or maybe we even need to do some settings in our workspace to block some things or enable some things. So that committee, task force, whatever, AI leadership needs to bring home the news, make sure we're embracing them safely. It's not easy to do. So in some cases, I run that for businesses. I come in and facilitate their AI community. I now also have a public AI community that anyone can sign up into, and we're doing exactly the same. Just keeping on top of what's new and what that means for you. How's that radar of apps changing? Are there things coming into the center of it now that we need to be aware of? That sort of thing.
Okay. So that's step 5, I guess, is that?
Yeah.
So just getting it embedded, building a bit of momentum and keeping the momentum going.
Yep.
What's step 6?
So step 6 is really about innovation frameworks or frameworks of innovation. And some businesses already have it from before AI. They developed it when they adopted cloud or when they went into automations and cloud automations. But some don't. And it's a great time to do it now. And frameworks of innovation is a whole nother book that I need to write, but when I have time. But it's about businesses that have that, businesses that are tech savvy. They have these frameworks for example, for ideation. And that's where every time during the day that someone has that moment of, oh, I'm doing this task and there must be a better way. There must be a better way. That's gold. We need to capture that. And then there's a process to open up ways to resolve it and to narrow down and trial something and roll out, or not to roll out, but intentionally, knowingly, and say, yeah, we're not fixing this because, and that will wait for next year. Frameworks for constantly reevaluating our core apps. Are they still serving us? Are we still making the most of them? Are there things that we said we'll do one day when we implemented this system, and maybe now is one day and it's time to look at? Are there new things in this app that we never got on top of? Is it still serving us the best, or optimizing how we're using the apps? Having a network of experts around us that can come and help us optimize and can help us roll out the automations that we want to create. So all of those things are the frameworks of innovation that are a whole nother story, but are a great thing to start working on.
Okay. And is it typically that AI task force within the business that are driving the innovation frameworks stage as well? Is that
Yeah,
how it works?
often they will be the same people because often
Yeah.
it's those, it can be those tech savvy people that will be the tech leaders in the firm, even though they may not be the leaders in the business, right? They're not necessarily the older ones with the gray hair like me. They can be anyone in the business. And ideally, we want this group to have people from different parts of the business and different seniority levels. We want doers, we want reviewers. They don't need to be very tech savvy. They just need to be interested
Yeah.
and open to experimenting and trying things and exploring things and sharing what they're learning with everyone else.
Yeah. All right, great. So we've covered the 6 steps. I'll just recap them. There was leadership alignment, tool selection, AI policy, team training, building momentum, and innovation frameworks. That's a really good framework for those who are looking at how to approach this. I wanted to ask a bit more about tool selection because we
Mhm.
talked about the main tool being your chat, your LLM, your chat GPT or your Gemini. Um, what are some of the other tools that are now in the center of that radar that a lot of businesses should be looking at in addition to their
Yeah.
their chat?
In the center of the radar will be your general purpose tool, like you mentioned. I think that all sorts of AI meeting assistants are now in the center of the radar. Like if you're not using them, you are a bit behind. Everyone's using them. It's time to start using them. We can talk about which ones, but yeah. And there are general ones, and then there are industry specific ones. And industry specific meeting assistants will have more integrations that are relevant to the tools that are used in that industry. They may have relevant templates. They may have just a better product experience for that industry and hopefully meeting regulations of that industry because you're saving transcripts of conversations. Could be in a health environment, it's medical information, could be in a law environment, so legal information, etc. So that's definitely in the center of that radar right now. There are others that can be specific to tasks, like people in marketing or graphic design. They'll be using Canva. I'm not talking about the professionals in that space, but if you're a marketing person in a business, you'll be using something like Canva that you can use generative AI to help you do graphic design or graphic editing that maybe you didn't do before. AI gives us superpowers to do things we didn't do before. So there can be some industry specific. When we look out to the next layer around the next ring of that radar, we're starting to see those AI capabilities form into product experiences. So, for example, if we're looking at accountants, tax research is one category that a lot of products are coming up in and become a category to watch. They're all very new, all quite immature, but it's definitely a category to watch. Similarly, in law, we've got law research tools that are becoming a very big category. Generally, research tools, because research is a strong capability of large language models, of AI, and putting it into a product experience is something that's emerging now. And none of them are mature, but it's an emerging area.
Yeah, and that's right, and that's how things are going anyway. Is that all the other tools we use are starting to integrate AI in different ways. So at
Every
some
one of them.
point, it won't be a case of using an AI tool. It'll just be use a tool, and it'll be using AI in some way. But that's a good way of
Absolutely.
looking at it. It's you start with your LLM, your ChatGPT, or your Gemini. Get everyone confident doing that. That'll do 80% of the tasks anyway. Meeting assistants if you're not using them already, and then look at any industry specific tools
Yeah.
for your scenario, including some of those industry specific research tools, which can
Yeah.
be really powerful. Yeah.
And then the next thing that is happening is automation. So AI steps into in automation, workflow automation that we already have, all those if this then that tools that we've been playing with for the last decade now have AI steps that can make a decision or do an action for us. And then we're talking about AI agents where we take an AI, we give it a prompt, we give it a personality, a role, a task, and we give it tools. We allow it to go and do things in the world, not just talk about things. So we allow it to send an email or to make a file or to create it, send a message or to do a thing. They are a whole nother category
Yeah.
that's in exploring in innovator and early adopter territory right now, but coming fast. I think we all need to develop our understanding of what they are. Not necessarily developing them right now, but we can develop very basic ones for internal use, because we'll all will need to make decisions about them very soon. We'll be hit by a tsunami of AI agent stores and AI agent vendors that come to sell us their AI agent and offer us to hire their AI employees. And we need to have an understanding of what we're being sold.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the next wave. But I think for most businesses, that's the final step in this first stage. So get an awareness of agents, but probably hold off implementing agents for a little bit longer yet until it's perhaps matured a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Inbal, thank you so much for your time. That's hugely valuable information. I love the framework. Congratulations on the book. If people do want to get in touch with you for training or obviously for the book, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Inbal.com.au, so inbal.com.au. You've got my speaking options there. You've got my book. You've got access to my community there to become a member and work through this in group coaching through all these steps with us. Everything happens there. There's a newsletter where I send a weekly update, which is a short 3-4 minute video, just updating you on what's new, what you need to know, and what it means for you right now. No hype.
Yep. I've been watching those videos and they're very good. So thank you. Good to speak to you in real person, not just the video that I've been watching, but thanks again for your time and good luck with the book.
Thank you.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Inbal Rodnay. I got a lot of value out of that. I think it's good to have a framework you can follow as you're trying to implement AI across your business. I'll put a link to Inbal's website in the show notes if you want to get a copy of her book or get in touch with her. Until next week, thank you for joining me on this journey to learn more about AI. I hope you're getting some value out of these episodes. If you are, please do me a favor and follow the page on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this. And also leave a comment below. If you've got any feedback or any questions, I'd love to hear those. So don't be afraid to leave a comment below. Until next week, I'm Scott Davison, and this is My Way or the AI Way.